The New York Mets have had some good vibes lately. They just swept the Phillies and they've won 8 straight games at Citi Field in what has been a roller coaster season thus far. Now, last season, there was talk about the Mets trying to acquire Juan Soto from the Nationals, who eventually was dealt to the Padres. Should the Metropolitans have went after Soto? It's a question the New York Post baseball columnist Jon Heyman answers in his latest column. And Jon joins me now. Jon, how you doing? Now, hopefully not a roller coaster time like the Mets.
I'm doing okay. How are you, Dexter?
I'm doing good, Jon. I'm doing well. Now, Jon, you know this. Some Mets fans are going to look at the Mets' struggles this season, combined with them not landing Carlos Correa in the offseason, and say, hey, we should have landed Soto last year. In hindsight, should the Amazins have brought Soto to New York?
No. Juan Soto is terrific. Clearly one of the top 5 hitters in baseball. I know he was criticized early. People were looking at a slow start, which was a matter of a few weeks. His OPS plus now up to around 160, which is higher than Mantle, DiMaggio, Mays, Aaron, lifetime. So, I mean, this guy is an incredible hitter. However, I revisited this possibility from last year, and let's recall that the Mets would have had to give up Francisco Alvarez in a deal to get Juan Soto. The belief is it would have taken something like Alvarez, Baty, Mauricio, Ramirez, and one of 3 pitchers, Hamill, Ziegler, or Vassell, who are their 3 top pitching prospects, all in their top 10 among their prospects. So, no, the Mets should not have done this. Alvarez is already helping the team in a big way. Baty looks pretty good. Mauricio could be on the way fairly soon. Ramirez also a top prospect. So I think the Mets were wise in this case not to act. And I do think they might have a chance. Some people are going to look at it, well, in division, it certainly would have taken more, or likely would have taken more. But I do think Washington would have traded him to the Mets if they had made the right offer.
Okay, so that's a no for you, but you did mention some of the young guys. And with the issues that the Mets have had offensively, there's been some spark from the young players like Francisco Alvarez. You mentioned Brett Baty recently. Is it realistic to think that the baby Mets can save the team this season?
Well, they can certainly help to save the team. I mean, I still look at the saviors as the 2 most expensive, at least per year, guys in the big leagues. Max Scherzer, who pitched very nicely yesterday against the Phillies. He is a Phillies killer. The Mets are becoming Phillies killers. And Justin Verlander. I think they're number 1 and 2, but I do think these baby Mets can play a huge role, and they already are. I mean, Alvarez has been arguably the 2nd best or 3rd best hitter on the team since he arrived, and he's been shuttled now between 2nd, 9th in the order. He may settle into 5 or 6. Baty has often batted 5th now behind Pete Alonso, the one bona fide proven slugger on the team. So Baty and Alvarez are keys. And look, Mauricio does not look too far behind. He has made 11 errors last check in the minors as he transitions to second base. But boy, he's hitting up a storm in the minors, and it looks like he may not be too far away as well.
Yeah, the future very bright with some of the Mets' young players, or at least it looks so. So let's look to the future here. This year's trade deadline, or even beyond, Jon, should the Mets eventually go all in on acquiring a star, or should they continue to develop and try to win with their young players?
I was remiss. I should have mentioned Mark Vientos as well. I know he hasn't done a lot yet. He had a nice sacrifice fly yesterday, but I'd like to actually see him play even more. I do believe he does have great potential. I know the fans are all over Vogelback, but I do think Vientos should play more than he does. That's a age-old question in baseball. The Mets are very, very protective of their minor league players. And in the case of Soto, I think it did work out. I mean, obviously, not all of the top prospects are going to turn into stars or even productive major leaguers. It's really up to the Mets to figure out which ones will be stars and which ones won't. I did think it was kind of funny that the Mets kind of boasted last year that they protected their top 19 prospects and didn't trade them. Well, not all 19 are going to be superstars at the major league level. I do think generally this is the way baseball is going, and they do kind of want to pattern themselves after the Dodgers, who obviously have a big payroll and spend money, but they draft and develop as well or better than anybody. The the Mets want to get into doing that too. The Mets do have more prospects than people thought. I mean, Alvarez certainly looks like a star at this point, or will be a star. Baty looks like he has great potential. I think Vientos is going to be a good hitter at the major league level. Ramirez is going to be a good player in the major leagues. I think Mauricio certainly will be a good player, and looks like he's got some versatility to him as well. So the Mets do have more prospects than I think we thought. They're in better shape there, but I do think they're a little too protective, maybe, of the prospects. It's a good thing to be protective, but you don't want to be too protective.
Yeah, don't want to be too protective, and it'll be interesting to see if they decide to make a move for a big name if and when someone comes available, or will they roll with the kids? That is Jon Heyman. You can roll with him and read his column on NewYorkPost.com about why the Mets should not have gone all in for Juan Soto. Jon, always good to talk some baseball with you. Take care.
Good talking to you, Dexter.